You can't have my family. Say, you can't have my increase. Breakthrough. You can't have my breakthrough. You say, you can't have my, you can't have my, you can't, I plead. There's power in the blood. Healing in the blood. Deliverance in the blood. Here's what you gotta say. This means more. Whenever the enemy is attacking in your life, you gotta say, this means more. You can't be breaking down and falling out. This means more. You're gonna break out your prayer, break out your words. This means more. You're gonna break out some praise. This means more. Last time, this means more. When somebody clap your hands, it's a wrap. That's all you got. That's all you got. That's all you got.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
I know.
Mother Georgia, she's back on live, the historic 980 WDDO. All of a sudden, let's go live into the studio with our host, Brenda Sutton.
Well, hello, and happy Monday.
Yes, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you know what? And I just had to say it because
It begins.
First of all, I want to wish Emily a very
Aw.
happy birthday.
Emily is
Thank
still
you.
celebrating her birthday.
I know she's so cute when she came in. She had on her shades and
Oh my goodness.
and
Thank
you look so cute with an afro puff
Yeah,
and everything.
actually, what you're overlooking is you did not get the memo.
What?
That's right.
To wear all black. I ain't in mourning, but I'm in mourning.
Black, it represents, that other level.
Hey, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
How you doing?
See, me and Johnny on that elite status.
Thank you very much.
What type of elite status? Y'all, you know what?
You gotta be in the know.
Well, I was in the wrong.
You
The
did-
wrong.
you
I
did
wasn't in the
not
know.
Get the memo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
You know what?
Thank you, Linda. Oh, she was talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Are you
sorry.
beautiful?
Yes, I am.
You know what though? Johnny said that he had a sold out show this weekend.
No, it was two shows. Listen, let me tell you.
Yeah, his play.
What the first?
Hey, Randy,
the
Ricky,
first-
how you doing?
Hey,
I
what-
would be
what-
messing up
what-
his name.
Yeah, you do. But listen, I had no clue,
Uh-huh.
and I'm an HBCU person myself.
Really?
Mhm.
I didn't
I'm
know.
a Tennessee State University guy, which I might make mention, won the first Grammy,
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
gospel Grammy
You better say
TSU,
it.
right?
for a collegiate band. So Big Blue, and
Woo,
you know what I
You,
mean.
you know why I keep messing up Ricky's name? Because he got a brother named Randy.
Yeah, but
Oh,
they, yeah,
okay.
So that's why I keep messing it up. So I'm really sorry, Ricky.
and they look alike.
And yeah, they are. They're like twins. I'm giving you a shout out.
They
That's
are twins.
Okay.
yeah, they are
Okay,
twins.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would explain why they look like.
Are they really? They're twins?
Yeah,
They
they
are?
really are.
Okay.
And good people. And real
yeah,
good people.
oh yeah, they're real good.
just
They're real solid guys for this community, and they do a lot of to help. But here's the thing that I was getting to. I had no clue. We did this show in Austin, Texas,
Uh-huh.
on the campus of Huston Tillotson which is an
Hudson-Tillotson.
HBCU.
Never heard of it.
I had never heard of that school before, but it is truly a lot of character. You know, you get inside the school and you start looking around the pictures and all. And for sure, it's an HBCU because it's got those same pictures from, you know, from back in the day on their walls. Every HBCU in the world got them. Like somebody, you know, looking like in amazement. This black guy, he's singing and it's just crazy. I never knew that school existed, but we did sell out 2 shows on Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh,
and I was like, because I really was, I'm like, you know, I know we got a really good product.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there going, man, okay, we might as well just prepare ourselves. No matter how many people come, we're going to perform like it's 50,000 people. You know what I mean? It was packed, both shows.
That's amazing.
It was really, and you know something else I found? That Emily's not the only tall woman from Texas. All y'all women, Texas, all those women in Texas were tall, man. I saw like 2 midget-sized women, but the rest of all those ladies,
you know what that is?
all of them like 6 feet and 5'11". Yeah, I mean everything. I mean, and just a whole bunch of beautiful people. But we had a great
And my
time.
mom is taller than me. My mom is 6'2".
Yeah, I mean, it was. I noticed that. I was like, you know what? But it was really a great show, and I know, not trying to give anything away, but the subject matters in that play is so. It's one can say ironic, others can say very concerning, and scary. How current the issues we talk about in that play are so prevalent today, which is, like I said, I'm not trying to be a spoiler, but it's going to be around the same issues that Brenda has a guest that we're going to be talking about. Because, and one of the lines, a couple of lines in that play, there's a character who happens to be a Caucasian character, and she's saying, you know, y'all don't need reparations. Y'all are talking about some stuff that happened 200 years ago. And then the next character says, wait a minute, what do you mean 200 years ago? This stuff is still happening today. And here we are with an upcoming subject matter that is about the same stuff.
Hey, Bob.
You know, it is, and it just is troubling to me, and which is a great segue into it. You would think that times would have changed, and there are certain things that have changed, you know, but what's going on with the voting stuff have not changed. And so, as Johnny said, we'll just kind of wait until our guest has come on at 5:45, and then we can introduce him and such. So, hello, that's Nicole. That's my interior designer, y'all. Nicole Terry.
How you doing, Miss Nicole?
You know, I thought you were gonna say it was your fashion designer.
Oh, she does the
she
house.
Didn't get today's memo. Sips tea.
Sips tea. Okay. Hey, you know what? I'm just excited to have our guest today because I want to tell the story, but y'all know how I mess up stuff, you know, and everything.
Hey, Faye.
Hey, I just want to do a shout out to the people in Albany, Georgia.
Daugherty County.
Hey, cuz.
Is it Daugherty or is it Daughtry County?
Daugherty County.
My light went out.
You know,
Uh-oh.
Well, we can still see your face.
Yeah, no, I just noticed it went out.
Well, you just glad it went out because, well, you know, but you look kind of dark and stuff like that on there. You know,
dark and mysterious.
We're not dealing with colorism and stuff like that. So
says the colonizer.
No, you don't have to.
Right.
You know, but y'all are so bad. Henry preached this weekend down in a little place
How
called
did you behave?
in Edison, Georgia. You know, for those out there, you know, I didn't corrupt Henry all the way.
Did you have a dress on below your knees in church?
I did, and I had on black tights too, so you couldn't see my legs.
What? So
yeah.
you was a real first lady.
I was the real first lady and everything. You know, I introduced him. I did the little thing, you know, giving honor to God who was first in my life. I did all of that.
What?
Yeah, I did.
And you
didn't
curse one time.
Not one bad word.
I
didn't do any of that. And that was the sweetest church. It was the sweetest spirit in that. Really. They were just good people. They made us feel real welcome.
Where was this church?
Down in a little place called Edison, Georgia.
Edison. It's right outside of Albany, right?
It's right outside of
I know
Albany.
where Edison is.
Yeah, and they had
Do they still tell the church how much money they collected before people leave?
no.
just wondered.
This church didn't do any of that. I always call people Reverend Chicken Wang and Pork Chop. Y'all know I do it. I'm guilty of it. But Reverend Zachary did not do any of that. He was the nicest guy. The church in there, they came in, they brought the basketball team. As I understand, they're in the finals. So a big shout out to
What,
Calhoun.
the high school basketball
The
team?
high school basketball team. They had all of them lined up in church on Sunday.
Oh,
They had them all lined up, and they looked so sweet. And
you see what Linda said? Linda said Brenda cuss, not curse. Well, she was on her best behavior Sunday, and so Henry did well.
Henry did real well. He spoke from Galatians 5:1.
Galatians.
Didn't I say the word right?
You did.
And if you look it up, it talks about people.
Stop being petty, Johnny.
Johnny gonna try to be petty. Johnny, stop it. Stop it. We got new
See
people.
it in his eyes.
We got new people on the line. We got new people listening. Y'all
Yes,
need to be.
we have Faye.
I was
We
just
got
talking about
Mr.
Bob
Bob. We
Ficklin
got
in the parking lot.
Nicole.
Yeah, we got some new people on the line, and I want to make sure, like I said, we got the word out to the people in Albany.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Albany, Georgia.
In Albany, Georgia.
Ray Charles' hometown.
I'm trying to tell you. I bet you he didn't see nothing, did he?
Yeah, but he could even see. He could see. I tell you what he could see. He could see the foolishness coming down the pipe.
You ain't lying.
In Albany recently. He could see the foolishness coming after those 4 ladies down there about water.
Yeah, about
Ray Charles could see that.
But you know what though? But Mr. McCoy couldn't see it, and he was and Miss Ginger. Y'all know we call names on this show. We don't just like say, well, we call it like we see it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Demetrius will be on. He said he'd be on about 5:45. I should have had him come on a little bit earlier, but so he can talk and give you more detail about it. But I'm still like amazed. I went to that hearing and my mouth is still open. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't have believed it had I not seen it. I've made cracks about I was going to give out water. I told Henry he had to get me out of jail. I don't know if I want to do that no more.
Yeah, it was. They probably wouldn't have did anything to you because your skin color is the right color. So they probably just would have thought you was one of them handing out water. You probably wouldn't have got in trouble.
Well, but they were dark. I guess there's some colorism going on there. But
of course, always.
But
stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ had made us free. Be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage.
Now read it in the NIV version.
The NIV version.
Because Henry does that with the King James.
That was King James. Now the NIV version says freedom in Christ. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery.
Don't let yourself be burdened again by the yoke of slavery when Christ has set you free.
So what is the difference between the King James and you said the NIV?
The NIV is the New International Version.
International, okay.
Right. So it's just a more simpler way of saying it. But basically
another translation.
Another translation.
Bible, once again.
So basically it's saying, if you've been set free, like that, don't go back.
Mm-hmm.
God has set you free, and that's pretty much, we thought we were free.
Well, you always have been, so I could understand why you would feel that way.
And it's like, don't be like the people of Galveston that didn't even know they were free.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the thing about it is, a lot of us act like we still in bondage because we still behave the same way.
Like the goldfish.
What about the goldfish?
A goldfish, if you have it in your house, in a little goldfish jar, and if you take it and throw it in the Atlantic Ocean, it's only going to swim that little distance it swam in the goldfish jar.
Oh wow. That's kind of like, Linda, you low down. I'm not going to talk. Y'all read them comments that Linda said. But that's the gist of what's going on a lot with people of color, is that we're our worst enemies.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what they're saying. You don't need to go. If you've been delivered and you free, why you keep acting like you still in bondage? Why are you still going back and doing those same old things? It's so basically that's kind of where that was going with that. Because it kind of bothers me that they had Black people in leadership. And again, we'll talk more about it. But they had Black people in leadership and they still saw fit to file a complaint against those 4 young women for nothing. For a law that was not even intact.
Can you update or just reveal to the people who might not be up on this information?
That didn't listen last week.
Yeah,
They didn't listen last week.
Yes.
Well, there were 4 young women. Now, let me just go back a little bit further. As I understand, it was 90 degrees in 2020 when they were out during voting.
Okay.
And it was in the heat.
Yes.
And so they reached out to Demetrius Young, who's going to be on our show. And they said, Mr. Young, it's hot out here. Can you help us?
Okay.
So as I understand it, he got a group of people together, including Black Voters Matters, Divine Nine, and whoever else that they could find. They could go out there and give the people water, snacks, and shade, Emily, even umbrellas and things like that. Well, they had, Black Voters Matters always have a van. So they have like music and stuff like that out there, just kind of entertaining people because they had been in line for a long, long time. Well, it was a white lady out there, Miss Webster, and her name is out for the record. And so she decided that she didn't like the music in the van. She didn't like them wearing Black T-shirts. She didn't like Black Voters Matter. And then she didn't like the fact on the back, and she said this in the hearing, I didn't like it because it had on the back, had on the black. It's all about us. It's just like them Black Panthers. I couldn't believe that she said it. So that's what she had. And so she took out her gun and she said she was so intimidated. She was waving her gun. And then she went in to vote, took her gun in to vote with her. And then afterwards, she came out and went to that same van, those same group of people over that she claimed she was intimidated with, and got her some water.
The irony.
Wait, hold on. No.
You heard her right.
Slow down. Now, say this again for me. No. Just be calm and don't laugh. Because I want people to really understand what you're saying. Say it again.
I said that after she voted, she had a gun now. I want you to understand, she still had her gun. She was still so very intimidated. She went to the camp that they had with the van and a tent up and got her some water from the same people that she claimed to be intimidated by.
That's confusing.
It's absolutely confusing. Because, I'm saying if you intimidated by them, then why would you go over there and get water? You see? So I don't know what was up with that.
So then the same person started this movement toward these 4 girls?
Exactly. So she decided that what she was going to do was to file charges using the 2021 law that went into effect that said you couldn't give water and snacks to people that were in line.
What year was this that she went and voted and with a gun and came and got water?
That was in 2020.
Okay, so she got water in 2020. But then this law came out in 2021.
Right.
And she tried to applicate that law.
Correct.
To an act that happened in 2020.
Correct.
When the law did not exist.
Correct.
I just,
And so the powers that be, Miss Nichols, which was the election supervisor, and the county manager, they went ahead, and they could have squashed it right there, but they didn't. They went ahead and they put forth a complaint, and they filed it with the state election board, which took them 3 years to investigate.
So they made an official complaint.
That is correct. With the election board.
So they weren't just complaining at the beauty shop.
No.
Or at church meeting. They went, and this was a legal complaint.
Right. I
mean,
mean,
had consequences.
That had as referral to the attorney general type of consequences. Yeah. It was something. It was more than a notion. Now I'm just amazed that that it even went that far, because it shouldn't have even gone that far. It should have been stopped. And when I saw the agenda said it was referred to, because they had, like a list of cases, Emily, they just had a whole list. They said, we're going to drop these, and we're going to take, and we're going to investigate these more. And then the other ones we're going to actually take and refer to the attorney general. Those young ladies were on the list to be referred to the attorney general. Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, how did it even go forward if the law wasn't even in place? And I mean, how do you file charges on somebody based off a law that wasn't even applicable at the time?
Right.
Like that's the part that I didn't understand. And none of that makes sense to me, how the charges were even brought. Like, it's like charging somebody with a law that doesn't exist.
That's what it is.
So
absolutely. I don't know what happened. I don't know
you see what I'm saying? Like, how did the charges actually legally get filed, and how did they even have to show up at court? Like, when you file charges, you have an actual charge because you violated the law. So how was a charge even brought if no law was violated? That's what I'm confused about.
That's what I was confused about. Like, how did it even happen? I don't know if something has happened to her. I guess I've sent him a little note. I don't know what's going on with him.
Well, let's give him a little time.
But we can just do it. I don't know whether or not he's having trouble getting on, but hopefully, he'll come on. What? Who doing that?
You.
That would be you.
I ain't doing nothing.
That's your phone ringing.
That's not my phone.
Yes, it is.
Well, things happen, huh?
It hasn't been long since she had a rotary dial phone.
Hang up the phone. Hit the red button, the red one.
The red button.
The red button.
Red means stop.
Green means go.
Well, I don't know what happened to my guest.
I'm sure he'll pop on in a minute.
Well,
maybe
I hope
he's on CP time.
Well, you know what? We can throw our guests on the bus, but because I've got all these people that want to hear him.
Well, I think he'll come on. He'll be on, I'm sure, in a few minutes.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's just running, a few minutes behind. You said 5:45, and it's just 5:50, so he's just a few minutes.
Well, you know how it is, you know how that is. Every now and then, when you be trying to like get everything going and stuff like that, you get a little panic going on when people are running a little bit behind. But it's all good though. It's all good. So, Johnny, tell me about what was going on up there where you were talking about some of the students and just kind of shed some light on what was going on with the voter situation up in that area, because you had mentioned that.
About the what I did hear about was something that was going on in Alabama with the high school. That you're familiar with that? With the kids that wanted to do a Black History program.
Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
Kids walked out of the school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did hear about that. There were about 200 students. And let me go back, Lynn, you're right. It wasn't filed as a charge. It was investigated by the election investigators, and their recommendation to the state board was a referral to the AG, to the attorney general. So Lynn Snyder is our resident. We love Lynn, right?
Let me read that again so I can understand. It wasn't filed as a charge. Right. It was investigated by the election investigators, and their recommendation to the state board of elections was a referral to the attorney general. So Lynn, let me ask you this. My understanding is the court hearing that they had last week, the charges have officially been dropped, or what wasn't a charge has been dropped, so it's over with now.
It's over with now, right? As far as the state is concerned, unless they're looking for punitive damages, would account for why he's not on the show today. If they're going to file something punitive against against the people that are there simply because, it was wrong what they did because it
So
should.
was it that woman that actually brought the charges or brought it
Yeah,
to?
she
I mean,
filed.
who decided to file the charge, quote unquote?
Well, I talked to Gwen Westbrook, and she said it came also from the supervisor, from the election supervisor, that she filed charges.
Okay, I got
filed
you.
a complaint as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said that's that she had done it, but I got a feeling that this may have gone a lot, looking a lot higher than all of a sudden it may be on something else. They may be getting some movie deals or something,
Oh, Lord.
They may not want to be on my little old show. I'm going to call them when I get off the phone, though. Y'all know where I'm going with it, right?
Oh, Lord, don't. Please.
I don't know. I wish them
Be
well
nice.
because they really should sue them.
You was just first lady yesterday now. Don't be showing out.
Yeah,
you can't be first lady on Sunday and Cardi B on Monday.
What Cardi B? What's that?
I can't. I'm finna walk off.
What is Cardi B? I don't know what Cardi B is.
You hit it right, Linda. Messy.
She's a rapper.
You don't know who Cardi B is.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know who Cardi B.
She's a rapper.
But Johnny, I did read that article. I believe Lynn sent it to me that 200 students walked out of their school because they were not allowed to. They were going to do a Black History program, and so what they were told was that they couldn't talk about any history prior to 1970. So that would have excluded the Black Panthers. That would have excluded, slavery and segregation and all that there within. They only want to talk about, and then too, truth be told, if you talk about beyond 1970, you're going to be talking about some stuff now.
Okay, Lynn said it was an election board hearing. The board disagreed with the investigators and dropped the charges against the ladies, but did refer Ms. Webster to the attorney general for having a gun. Okay.
Yeah, for having a gun.
So it was an election board hearing. The board disagreed with the investigators and dropped the charges. Okay, I got it now.
I'm glad. Lynn is always on point now.
Lynn, she got to listen to the show because we be saying some stuff. We be need
hey, Lynn, we need
some legal clarification.
We need you to be able to give us some clarification because we'll mess it up, huh?
Tune in next Monday for a new feature on our show called Fact Check.
Yes.
By Lynn Snyder.
Lynn Snyder. We be saying stuff. We need some legal backup.
We do. But you know what though? I'm kind of wondering, with the Black History thing, because a lot of and I talked to one of my
we love you too, Lynn.
One of my white friends, and they said, you know what? And Lynn, this is real talk. When y'all talking about Black folk, when y'all be talking about Black history, that's divisive.
Who said that?
I'm serious. I wouldn't even call her name out because I don't want her to feel it.
They said that when we
talk about Black history, it divides, and that's why they don't want.
But there are. But
all I could do was laugh at that. That's comical.
No, that is very fluent. That there are a lot of people
that feel that way.
Who if I post something about Martin Luther King or anything, it could be just educational piece like, this was Marcus Garvey, or this was Malcolm X, or this was Ida B. Wells, or this was A. Philip Randolph. Anything, or you could post something like, hey, did you know that an African American man invented this, but because he couldn't patent it, he never got
the credit
paid for it. Not just the credit, but the generation of money has been given to a family who did not invent it because this Black man could not get his creation, his invention patented. And then people are put on, oh, you just race baiting, Johnny. And I'm going, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's because they want us to keep our true, what I consider divinity, our true divinity. They want to keep it suppressed. They want to keep it hidden. And what a lot of people don't really understand about African Americans or Africans, period, we contributed to over 85% of some of the things that we use today, from obviously the light bulbs to all of this stuff that's been created, but they don't want the truth
Louis
to get out.
Latimer invented the filament for the light bulb.
And by the way,
right, and we've talked about this before, the whole Rosa Parks situation, and how her not being the actual first one to give up her seat, on the bus. And I'm like, why in 2023 are we still celebrating? No offense to Rosa Parks, obviously, but why are we still celebrating someone that was not the first African American woman to do that?
Well, that's why I put, I was talking about the Galatians piece about you don't want to go back to slavery. You've been delivered, quote unquote. We need to do a better job. Now, here, Faye, I hope this is not true. Kip is trying to do the same things in Georgia schools. Oh, okay, but now they won't be doing it in Georgia schools because Brenda got a grandbaby in Georgia schools. I'm gonna take them to task. Because but getting back to the history, people don't want to discuss the history. And I go on record saying that we're not going to heal as a nation until we acknowledge and deal with the fact that we had some horrendous things that went on in this country, period. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for their ancestors. But your ancestors is your ancestors. You can't. That's who they are. And there was a lot of whites that helped people and things. I got that, and I think they need to be recognized as well. But then you also had certain percentage of people who had enslaved people who did a whole lot of things to them. Okay.
I mean,
and it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. And let me say this too before we forget. I want to give a shout out to Big Hen. For sponsoring our show.
Thank you, Henry.
It was so good seeing y'all the other day. So thank you, Big Hen.
Oh, but I just, what this Linda said, what she said,
let me read it because you ain't gonna read it right. A little old white lady told me that it's in the Bible that whites are supposed to be with whites and other races are supposed to stay in their race. It's in the book, she said.
Now, I just think that's very interesting, given that I'm 23% white.
I thought it was okay.
But now it's interesting, Linda. That's a great point that you brought out, because what I don't understand with that is, I guess it's okay for white men to be with black women, and then to have mixed children back in the day while they was enslaved and sold the babies. So I guess you're not supposed to do it now because they're like in love, they have relationships. I don't get that. That's like I don't know how you reconcile those two right there.
I don't think it can be. I think acknowledging is one of the biggest things that we have to do. And I think that a lot of white people, especially the ones more modern generation, they want to erase the history. Like they don't really want to talk about it in schools. They don't want to have it just be prevalent. They want to almost forget about, like, once we decide to move on as a country, we can stop the racism. And I said, racism will always exist. It will never stop existing. As long as there's division, there will always be racism. So acknowledgement is what's important.
And see, Linda says her granddaughter relates to black people. See, a lot of it is, I won't say this all generation, and I hate to say white people because I got some of that in me too. But
first of all, I've never seen a white person. You see the background that glory
either.
To do glory, the glory, all that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I do to people when I'm talking to them. I get a white piece of paper and I stand up to a Caucasian person. I go, "Now, what color is this?" They go, "Oh, Johnny, being funny again." I said, No. What color is it?" And they say, "Okay, Johnny, I'll play again. It's white." And then I put it up against their skin. And I go, "Now, do you look like this paper?"
Yeah, we're close to it.
Well, no, it ain't close.
But
it's not. And I've never seen a person the color of this.
Black. But see,
I've seen some blue people.
Right.
But
some blue purple.
I never seen.
But you know what though, Johnny? And the
black.
thing about it is that we're just a part of the human race. And Tracy Jenkins talks
that's
about
all we all
and that's
are.
all we are. Is it's just a part of that, And I think that what happens with us is that as a group of people that we're so caught up into something that has no significance. What race shouldn't have any significance? It ain't even race. It's just skin color. Or tones, or melanin, a lack of melanin, or whatever it is. And people use that as a way to discriminate. So
but we have to clarify it. We didn't do it. We did not create it.
That's true.
We've always loved ourselves. We were in Africa minding our business. They came over and got us and brought us over
and by
here.
the way, and let me just say, it's not all whites with European. See, I want to stress it because sometimes we'll do group talk. And we'll say white people. No, it ain't all white people. I'm talking about the ones who were dirty and low down. And I haven't seen the research. Y'all know I'm a researcher. But I'm willing to bet you, Johnny, with about 4 checks, that the people that we're talking about are the ones who own the ones that own people and got mad after the Civil War when they lost all their money.
Yeah, and your 4 checks could change my life.
I mean, I'm telling you.
But wait a minute. I seen somebody black, a lightning bulb light up. Look at that. See that? Linda, we're not telling those kind of jokes on the air. But you see that joke she put out?
Prepping us for her comedy tour.
Linda, you cannot tell jokes like that. But it's a kind of thing that I would have to say we do try hard. Macon is not as bad as many, as far as like, racial things, but it seems like, people put it together. When I say, I don't know, colorism, I don't even know what you call it, because race is it's just a social construct. So to me, that is a division. If you want to talk about what divides us, that's the thing that does it. Well,
let me ask y'all this about both of y'all.
Oh, don't be sorry, so Linda. You funny.
Economics.
Okay, so here's my question. So do you all think that things were better before segregation? So I've had this conversation with some scholars, some collegiate scholars, some regular common folks, and it's interesting how different people have different thoughts. So some say that we as a people were better when we had segregation, when we had our own shops, our own dry cleaners, our own restaurants, our own banks. When we had our own stuff, we were doing fine and flourishing. It was only when we tried to integrate into their society, or quote unquote white society, is when we started having the major problem. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that we were better off, or we would have still been better off had things still been segregated? Like if we would have had our own our own cities, communities, our own banks, our own restaurants, our own dry cleaners, and we only did business with each other, and then the Caucasians only did business and they had their own life over here. Do you think in 2023 life would be better for us as a people, or do you think it would be worse?
I think for us, the integration was not really integration, it was a simulation.
Meaning
that many of us forgot our culture and absorbed into more of the European culture, for lack of a better word, because we thought it was better.
It was better.
And the whole premise, as I understood it growing up during that time, was that we wanted separate, it wasn't so much separate, but we wanted equal. And as a result of it, a lot of us forgot our culture, and we'll do anything we can right now to forget it. And so I think had we kept the pride that the elders had, because they had a lot of pride about going to the store and
because I asked that question too, because I think back, when my grandfather was living, and like my grandfather, every time he left out of his house, he had on a pair of slacks, he had a button-down shirt on, he had dress shoes. Like I never saw, and this is today, my grandfather passed away at 97, he didn't own a pair of jeans. He didn't own a pair of jeans. And I remember every time my grandmother stepped out of the house, she had on a dress. She had on, dress shoes. My grandmother never had a pair of jeans. And I say that to say this, they had more pride in themselves. They had, and now when I see girls walk out of the house in their pajamas and a bonnet on and house shoes, and I'm thinking like, what happened to us as a people? And you didn't see that 60 years ago or 50 years ago.
You know what though? It's very interesting that you should say that. I saw a young lady working like at a fast food. I think it was like, I don't know whether it was like McDonald's or something. Henry and I were on our way out, and she had on a bonnet. I mean, she had on a straight bonnet with like a little thing. So there is some pride that was lost as a result of some of the and I don't know where that came from, Emily. I wish I could put my finger on it and say, you know, that I knew, but I can't figure it out. It is a thing of pride, you know, going out in your bedroom slippers and things like that. To me, it perpetuates a stereotype. See,
and then
now I used to have and then too, you know, we used to always say, Johnny, and I know you did too, you know, you gonna make the black race look bad.
So Faye says being one of the first blacks to enter Joseph Clisby, which is now Vineville Academy, made a difference to enable us blacks to go to any school we want. Here's my question to you, Faye. Why was the black school not as good as the white school? How come the education that was offered, quote unquote, at the black school, why did we feel like the white education was better?
Oh, I can answer that one for you because Faye and I both went to Joseph Clisby. And part of it was the old books at L.H. Williams. Because we had old books. Now, we didn't have sense enough to know that it wasn't the books. We had good teachers. We had excellent teachers over at L.H. Williams. What elementary school did you go to, Johnny?
I actually started grammar school at Eugenia Hamilton from the first through the middle part of the fourth grade. Then they integrated the schools, and then I went to Pearl Stevens. And
you was up there. Did you have Miss Poe when you was at Eugenia Hamilton?
Violet's mother, yes.
Man, Miss Poe, you couldn't even. She was a good teacher. My point was that she was an excellent teacher, but we went there thinking that we were going to see, and it was part of our parents. We're going to have new books, and better food.
Essentially, you thought that again, that being integrated with the Caucasians was better because it was Caucasian, not because of the food or anything, but you just was like, okay, this is a better situation.
No, it was my mama.
I mean, well, yeah,
it was my mama that did it. I don't know.
I've always, of course, by the time I was in elementary school, all the schools were integrated big time by then. So I never had the to deal with. Going
but you
to
see,
school
you
got
to realize too where our parents come from. My mama came from down in the country, and it was unequal, and it was really bad. And so they wanted what was better. You know, you have to get Henry on the line. When he went to those schools, he thought it was going. You know, his mama thought it was going to be better, even though he got beat up. And the other part of that, Faye, you can attest to this. We used to make good grades at L.H. Williams. I don't know about you, Johnny, but we made real good grades. When we got over Joseph Clisby, shoot, we went from making A's to average. And a lot of people repeated that grade, you know, that they transferred over in. They repeated it, not because they were not good at what they did. They repeated it because the teachers there thought we were substandard.
So it goes back to my original question. So was it a good thing that they integrated? Was integration good for us as a people?
Integration,
because we were thriving before we integrated,
but not necessarily though, because we still had to deal with the unequal part of it. See, one of the things that's going on with young people today, they think it's fair.
So what are you saying? Like, in actuality, what are you saying that at the predominantly black school, they had one set of learning utensils. They had one set of editions of books. And the fourth graders at another school had another set of fourth grade books that were more progressive and had more knowledgeable things in it. So you're saying that they had dummied down books at one school, and the other school had a whole different curriculum for fourth graders. So you said one school only didn't teach Spanish and you know, in today's terms, Mandarin or something.
Right.
And all the other school taught was the English language, and that was it. And they taught you about Jamestown.
And we never, in the truth,
they taught you nothing about the Jewish people in their struggle, the Holocaust.
That's right.
And all those kinds of things. The only thing that you learned about was the Civil War at the black school. I'll tell you this much. From my personal experience, I'll never forget. The teacher asked us to do a report at Eugenia Hamilton. And I chose the person I was going to do my report based on what their suit, their army suit looked like. I thought Robert E. Lee's gray suit was hitting. And that was my subject matter while I was at school because they put the pressure on us to choose somebody. When I went home, my parents alerted me that, why did you choose him? Because he was fighting to keep you a slave. So then while I was home, I changed over to Ulysses S. Grant. So when I took my paper back to school and then they called me to read my report, they said, wait a minute, Johnny, you're reading the wrong report. You chose Robert E. Lee. I said, yes, I did, but I found out that I didn't like him after all. He was trying to keep us slaves. And I got sent to the principal's office.
Oh, wow.
Because the teacher said that I was, didn't use the word talking back, being
belligerent or something
indifferent or something like that. But I was trying to explain to her, I didn't know any better yesterday. I'm not going to do a report as a hero of mine on somebody who wanted to keep me slave. So then it got to be a challenge of actual facts versus principle. So the principle was that I told my teacher I was going to do one thing and I needed to do what I told my teacher to do. But in actuality, why was she pushing me to do a report on somebody who I, on my own time, found out this dude ain't my hero? But the teacher was heck bent on me making sure I did what I said I was going to do to be an example to the class that you can't make up your own mind.
Right, indoctrination.
And you know,
but let me read this comment he said, and he's right on point with what I was trying to say. Mr. Odoms, I think he's a pastor if I'm not mistaken. He said we lost our. Can you guys bring that comment back up?
We lost our power in the grand scheme of societal structure. Once we integrated, you got it now?
Yeah, once we integrated, we have owned nothing of substance since. We no longer own banks, convenience stores, and other institutions that will keep and I can't see anymore after that.
The black dollar in the black community. Every dollar we spend supports the upkeep of every ethnic community except ours. But a lot of that is because we don't want to, Mr. Odom, deal with the fact that we don't support black businesses, and we will go right on right now and go to somebody else.
So that's what he's saying is he's I think he's answering my question that I asked both of you earlier. Is he's saying that things were in a societal, in the grand scheme of things were better when we were segregated, in the terms that we were forced to support our own people, so we thrived when all you could do was go to the black bank and get a loan, or all you could do was go eat at the black restaurants.
But we didn't thrive, though. That's not true.
Why do you feel we weren't thriving?
We didn't thrive, and I'm going to tell you part of it too.
So thriving is only when we integrate with colonizers?
We wanted to hook up. So we really didn't spread the wealth the way that I'm just saying. We didn't spread. We did not.
Even make sense?
I go to Johnny and I say, Johnny, I want you to build it cheaper. You understand what I'm saying? I did not give Johnny his worth. So I'm saying all of that, to me, it's some romanticizing that's going on in that. I may not be saying it right. You're saying that we were thriving. We weren't thriving as a community. It was some people that thrived in the community, but the community itself was not thriving. Because
based on what?
Now entrepreneurship may have per se, but people who were going to work in factories and things like that were still getting less.
She said, what do you do when what you need is only available at a place where you're not allowed?
You had to do
with that today. You have to do without.
I was going to say you have to do without, Lynn, and that's a great question. You have to do without.
And see, and that's a perfect question. You know why? Because, and I of course, I don't have anything against Caucasians, but when you are born into what one would consider white privilege. You've never had to think of life in that way. So when you're born as an African American or as a Black person, you've had to learn to adjust your life in a way where you have to do without. If something is not, if you're not allowed into a spot, you just can't go. You don't stop living and stop thriving because you can't use a computer or you can't use a phone. You continue to do whatever you have to do.
Well, I'm putting it out here because the thing that gets me, and I'm going back to, I'm just going to say your business.
Mhm.
Okay. There are a lot of people I don't know what you want to call it. We don't support you, Emily.
Mhm.
We don't support you because we say your prices are too high,
Mhm.
whereas it's not too high. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying the thriving part, yeah, some, but I'm like, we as a people, back then we supported you because we didn't have a choice to support you.
Mhm.
But when we had a choice to support you, when we do, we don't.
We don't.
That's
right.
what I'm going to.
Mhm.
I would just say my interior designer, Niquelle Terry, she's online. Niquelle does beautiful work,
Mhm.
perfect work. But we want Niquelle to do it free. We want you to give us your soap.
Mhm.
We don't want you to make a profit. If you have a nice car, I ain't gonna help her pay for that car.
Mhm.
Now, and that's what I'm talking about, the thriving part.
Mhm.
Is that utopia that we had. I mean, my dad had a barbershop on Poplar Street, 27 years down with the Black Mecca. And they did really well. And, so I grew up in a
Mhm.
middle class family. We did fine. My point though, and you're right, Faye, we as Blacks don't want to support Blacks.
Mhm.
We don't. We don't. Look here. We think the white man's ice is colder.
Mhm.
If you're given a choice, I'd rather go and go to some other
Yeah.
place. And you got soap. You got some good soap. Soap get you clean. Soap do all of that. But before I
Mhm.
get your soap, I go to the other store and buy some soap. Now,
Mhm.
come on. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we do. And and being in business, obviously I've been in
Mhm.
business for a long time. And it's something that I've actually grown accustomed to, which is
Mhm.
something that I should not have had to grow accustomed to. And I do explain this to people all the time. I'll have a
Right.
customer walk in the store. They will ask me, and this happens all the time. They will waste 30 good minutes of my time asking me every single thing about that one bar of soap. After I'd explained to you what I put in it, where I got the raw ingredients from, which ingredients came directly from Ghana, which ones came from Tanzania, how I put it in the soap, why it's better for you, you'll still say, oh, okay. Well, what made you want to do that? So I explain all of that schmeal. You walk out and don't buy anything. I see you post on Facebook how you just went and dropped $400 at Bath and Body Works, and you didn't ask them not one question about that garbage that you putting on your skin. That's what I mean about having to deal with our people and why we do that. Now, you asked me every single question you could think to ask me, and you didn't spend not one single dollar in my store, but you went and dropped a store that is a conglomerate, that is a multi-trillion-dollar conglomerate, that is an international brand.
Oh, wow.
And you gave them $400.
Did you see what Lynn just wrote?
My husband has been told that many of his Black patients don't want Black doctors because they don't think they are good enough.
Wow.
I've heard that.
Now, okay, dig this. So I'm going to be devil's advocate as I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So what if in the mind of that person
Mm-hmm.
that you speak of,
Mhm.
they're thinking, what if they had the ability and to say, well, you know what? Analytically looking at it, Bath and Body has been around for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of anybody using Bath and Body products getting suing them because they broke out. It did damage to their skin. Just devil's advocate.
I'm letting you finish, and I'm gonna answer.
Devil's advocate dude over here. So what if that's the basis of their decision making? Whereas with you, they might say, there's not a track record of her product and what the cause and effect could be of a product. What see, there are some people who think like that. Not that they're right,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but there are some people who support their thinking by the numbers. They said this company has been around and they're a proven company.
Mm-hmm.
This company, we're still learning about this company. We don't know about this company.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the lady says that they're using they go about it with homeopathic methods and all of that.
Mhm.
But still, I don't have any FDA stamp. I don't have the government's approval of
Mhm.
that this thing is what she says it is. I
Mhm.
would like to support her, but I know for sure what I'm getting over here.
No, you
And
don't.
I know you don't
I'm
know.
gonna let them finish.
I'm just being the devil's advocate.
Mhm.
But that's the way some people do think. You know, just like some people think about getting a COVID shot. They say, well, I
But you
don't know what's in that. But
Mhm.
then they go to the Kroger and get a can of Campbell soup. They
Yeah.
don't know what's
But
in
you
the
know what,
can
though?
of Campbell soup
And-
either.
and I'm
First
gonna
of
let-
all, well, let me address that. In a can of Campbell soup, you look on the back, it tells you the ingredients in the can of soup.
But they could
when you
be
get
lying.
COVID, they could be.
And
But
that's
when
what
you
it-
get COVID, they're still not telling you what's inside of that COVID shot.
That's what
So
I'm
at least
saying.
you have some type of explanation of what may be in the can with COVID. They don't tell you what
But-
the heck is
But
in that
back
shot.
to
and
the
let me-
product.
But back to
the
the product. I feel you where you're coming from.
Mhm.
I've had this because I've been in business 18 years, right?
Mhm.
So I've had customers come in and same thing. What a lot of people don't know is Bath and Body Works has been sued multiple times for people's breaking out, having massive allergic reactions, anaphylactic shock, all types of things. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I've shown people, if you go onto my Google rating, I have a 5.5 Google rating, which is the 5 out of 5, which is the highest you can have. I've had a 5.5 for 17 years. It's never
and by
dropped
the
lower
way-
than a 5.
and-
So that shows my tracker record right there. If you go on the Google rating for Bath and Body Works, they don't have a 5-star rating. So in theory, I hear where you're coming from, but the facts are the facts. And most people, I understand, it's kind of like Bath and Body Works has that longevity. People know about them, but the same research that you do and that you know about Bath and Body Works, if you do that same research for my company, you see that I have perfect numbers.
They don't do research for Bath and Body Works. They just go by the longevity of their company.
Johnny, but let me go back to the comment that Lynn said. I'm going to say this about my husband. Okay, Lynn, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want to use a black lawyer. Henry had to struggle to get through school. He had to study twice as hard to get that grade, but they won't go to him because they don't trust him. And Lynn, you are absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely correct. And it is a lot of folks. I don't want no black doctor. I don't want this. I ain't gonna use this if it's black. And there are certain instances and certain times that some folk just cut up, and it doesn't matter what race they are, because I've had contractors, I've had black contractors, I've had white contractors, and I tell you, if they're gonna do a job, they do a good job. If they ain't, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can give a shout out to Robert Bryan, the best air conditioner guy out. I call him, he fix my heat, he take care of it. He say he gonna come out, he come out. Whatever he do. My other guy, Nicole Terry, an interior design. If she says she gonna do something, if you go to Emily, don't be late for your eye makeup. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. She's like, what time you gonna be there? So, but I do understand, and I think a lot of that goes back to slave memory.
Mm-hmm.
And us as a people having to deal with things, some unresolved issues that we have on the inside that we need to address as a people. So hopefully we can learn to love each other more.
Well, I think to me, the bottom line is what I want us to just be conscious and be more aware of is just because it is white does not make it better.
And then it comes to presentation.
And by the way,
it's on,
it comes to presentation.
I've even let me address
it.
that, because he's right. I've had people ask me, where you get these labels from? I had a black woman actually say this to me. Oh, your stuff look real professional. Who did this for you? Ma'am, I do this myself. Oh, how you make it look so good? And it was almost, I felt insulted because well, we deserve good looking stuff, and why wouldn't it look just as good? She said, and I quote, this look like the stuff I can buy in the store. Ma'am, you're in a store. I got a whole 1,300 square foot store. You're in a store, ma'am. But of course, I can't say that to her because that's not, customer service friendly.
But you know what, though, you're bringing up some good points. And so as we, talk about racism, something like that, and maybe we're going to do a show on colorism. Because while I get joked a lot about, being light skinned, that's an issue too.
No, you're not. You're not being joked about being light skinned.
Well,
But figure that out later. But here's one more little example. Look, listen. And I don't want anybody listening to this trying to get an attitude about it because it's not coming from that place. When I was in the 8th grade, I went to Miller, which was going to be Central. On the summertime, we went over there to take band at Ballard. The band director walked out. I grabbed the book and was looking at it. They said, "Here it comes." I threw the book across the room. One of the students that went to Ballard said, "Hey, man, don't be throwing our new books like that." I laughed because I saw 5 people's name from Central that had already used what they call new books.
Right.
And so the students that went to Central, when it first was after the integration and all that, they felt like some of them actualized they were having a better opportunity because they found out that Central High School was getting better books than Southwest High School was. See,
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I used to think it was a joke. It was like a school rivalry thing. And then when I got older, I felt really bad about it, that how they used us against one another, and we didn't even know it.
Well, Faye says, Emily, where's your store located? We're located at in Warner Robins at 6009 Watson Boulevard. That's Suite 410. We're in the Public Shopping Center. And again, that's 6009 Watson Boulevard, Suite 410. And it's called The Naturalista. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturdays 10 to 5.
She just asked because she going to send some customers down there and she going to be wanting the discount. I sent you 12 folks. I sent you 12 folks.
Babe, I got your back. I got your back, my fellow.
People down there.
I got your back, but I ain't going to let Johnny talk about you like
I'm
that.
just kidding.
Oh, and Mr. Autumns, I forgot this. He said we will buy theirs
You've been
because
listening to
more
All
of
of a
it.
Sudden,
We
live
often
every
erroneously
Monday
equate
evening
proof
from
of sales. How
5:30
can
to
we know
6:30.
truly what's
All
better
of a
if the
Sudden
bank
with
controls
your
what we have to
host,
choose
Brenda
from?
Sutton.
That's a good
That's every
point.
Monday. We'll see you
Because
there.
The views
we
expressed
spoke
on
of
this
it.
program are not
Presentation.
necessarily the views
You know what,
of the
though?
Glory 980 AM.
All right, we
the
love you
Glory
guys. We'll
Media
talk
Group,
to you
See you
next
next
Monday.
week.
Bye.
AM,
Those
its
people.
staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Connect